So we found out on Friday, once again, Chris Roberts reaffirms the 90% rule, which is basically 90% of the universe, 90% of the NPCs you see on the ground, 90% of the ships you see in space are going to be NPCs. They are not going to be players. So you are going to be massively outnumbered versus the amount of NPCs that are out there. And, every day you see people kind of making these hysterical comments about, and I'm not talking about hysterical like funny, I'm talking hysterical like hysteria. These comments about, oh my God, pirates are going to ruin the game. Oh my God, look out for the pirates. The pirates are coming. Oh, they're all these vicious, animals that are going to just ruin the game for us. And I want to have a private server and all this sort of thing. And this hysteria around piracy is almost entirely unjustified when you think about the 90% rule. Let me explain. Let's say you're a cargo pilot. You've got a Caterpillar. You just want to run cargo. That's your jam. When you look at Star Citizen, you're like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a space trucker, and I want to run cargo from point A to point B, and I want to make my money. But I hate the fact that, to make probably a good profit, a decent profit, I'm probably going to have to run into some sketchy space, and I'm not too keen on that because there's going to be pirates, and they're going to all be these these hardcore neckbeard gamers who are, all stats focused and all crazy, and they're just going to come in and just take my ship and rob my cargo. I mean, Minion Soldier just talked about it the other day. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be the worst thing ever. Not exactly. You might be in a position where piracy is actually your best friend. Think about the economy that Chris Roberts is talking about. Think about the universe that he's talking about building. Think about the 90% rule. How does piracy work in your favor? Think about it. You're a law-abiding citizen flying a law-abiding ship, carrying law-abiding cargo. You're just, you're Johnny Nice Guy. Don't want to hurt anybody. You just want to make a few bucks. But there's that looming threat out there. But you're plying the space lanes. You're seeing all these other cargo ships doing the same thing you're doing. Once again, that 90% rule, most of what you see is going to be NPCs. So you have an opportunity to scan these ships. They're going by you, just a little security scan, just a little safety scan, just to make sure, they're not bad guys. Just a light scan, nothing meant by it. Oh, hey, that guy's hauling diamonds. Oh, hey, that guy's hauling titanium, blah, blah, blah. Open a communications channel to say, hey, listen, I don't know if anybody's interested, but I'm flying next to a Hull C that's hauling nothing but high-end minerals. Just in case anybody's listening, it's the Hull C that's flying right next to the Covalex Caterpillar. Just in case anybody wants to know. Why? Because maybe you're even hauling the same thing he is. If his cargo doesn't make it to his destination, guess what? The price on the market, we know this, the price on the market for those minerals is going to go up for, materials, whatever they are, is going to go up because they have a tougher time getting those materials, so they're willing to pay more to get them, to entice more pilots to fly that material to that base. If 90% of that cargo is being moved by NPCs, and once again, remember, that station is going to generate an order, the world server is going to tell, generate missions, and some NPCs are going to fulfill those missions, and they are going to be the ones moving that cargo. If you're tipping off pirates, you're eliminating your competition. You're basically creating a situation where you're limiting the amount of risks that you're taking on. Because if you're friendly with these people and you say, hey, you know what, I'm just letting you know that there's a buck to be made off of a nice predictable NPC over here, they might say, hey, you know what, cool, just which ship are you in? Okay, the Caterpillar, fine, we'll leave you alone, just make sure your gunners don't shoot back. And you just maybe shut your guns down or whatever, and you just keep going along your way. Hull C gets tackled and you just keep going. Now, even if we get into a situation where CIG goes, oh, well, we don't want that to happen. We don't want that type of situation to exist. So obviously we are going to take, steps to limit what you can scan on someone else's ship, or we're going to make scanning automatically a hostile act. Cool. But let's say you're flying your Caterpillar and you're like, oh, there's a hull D right next to me. Big juicy hull D. I'm located right about here. Just in case anybody's interested, you don't even have to, you can do that across Discord, you can do that in game, whatever, and you can get that information out there. If you're feeding information, if you're feeding prey to the predator, then chances are the predator is going to leave you alone if they realize, hey, this guy is actually kind of like a gold mine. He tells us where all the best ships are. He's running his own cargo, and he's increasing his profit margin by doing this, by being a little bit sneaky and tipping us off as to where all these big fat cargo ships are. He's flying away from this base on Cellin, and he's telling pirates, hey, I'm taking off from this base, I'm heading away from Crusader right now, and about 15 kilometers ahead of me there's a big fat Starfarer that just loaded up with cargo. Or maybe there's another Caterpillar, not me, but another NPC Caterpillar that's just up ahead of me, and he's probably all loaded up with cargo too. All of a sudden you kind of create that emergent type gameplay where all of a sudden players kind of work together cooperatively. If you think about it, if a pirate doesn't have to go out hunting and scanning and just grabbing the first thing that he sees, if he's got a chat channel that he can open up, whether it's in game or out of game, where all of a sudden he can get a little tip off and, oh, there's a really juicy cargo ship that just took off, just loaded up from this base and just took off. If you're kind of creating a situation like that, then chances are you can probably evade a lot of trouble, and pirates will actually in your system become friendly with you because they're like, hey, this guy's a gold mine, he tips us off all the time, so don't F with this guy, because this guy makes us a lot of money, and at the same time you're making money for yourself on these cargo runs because you're eliminating your competition. Think about it. I mean, you could be in a situation right now where you're kind of sitting there, and maybe you and some pilots that are in your org, if your org is, let's say, a cargo-centric org, you guys just have all these cargo ships, and you're kind of planning to run cargo ships in a convoy, and maybe you've been thinking like, oh man, what if we want to go out into these areas where the profit margins are higher but they're a lot more dangerous? I mean, do we have to hire a mercenary corp to protect us? Maybe you don't. Maybe what you can wait for is to see how the gameplay kind of develops on its own. Maybe there's an opportunity here where you could actually quietly, under the table, be partnered up with pirates and feeding them targeting information. Because remember, this is going to be a universe that is a lot more populated than it appears to be right now. This is something that, once again, Chris Roberts has reaffirmed this 90% rule, and he's going for this. So right now, where you're seeing just one cargo ship taking off from a moon, when the game is finished, it's going to be this cargo ship and 9 others taking off from that moon. If you're tipping people off, if you're letting people know, here's some valuable cargo, potentially, if you can scan that ship. If you can't scan it, you can still say, hey, there's a big juicy hull D with maybe 1 or 2 escorts moving in this direction right out here. Anybody who wants it, come and get it. If the pirates are busy taking down those ships, even if it's not a totally friendly arrangement, if they're busy taking down those ships, taking the cargo away, possibly reclaiming the ship, all of that type of stuff, how much time are they going to have for you? And are they really going to turn on you now that you just basically fed them that? It'd be kind of like saying, like, after you give someone a Thanksgiving turkey on the table that you didn't even have to pay for, and you're worried about, oh my God, after they eat the whole turkey and the rest of the dinner, are they going to have room for me? No, probably not. They're probably going to have their hands full with this thing. It's when you kind of think about how this stuff plays out in players' hands, you start to realize that even though the developers are kind of looking at something, they're saying, oh, this is what it's going to be, and some people have been getting super hysterical about, oh no, pirates, what are we going to do? How are we going to handle it? And people are building these kind of schemes in their mind of, you know, how do we protect ourselves from pirates? It might just be this simple. You know, this goes back to a video I did like 2-3 years ago where I talked about piracy may not be as bad as a lot of people think. It might actually be a benefit to the game. And so, you know, some people, of course you would say that because you're a pirate and you're a rapscallion, sir. But honestly, think about it. Think about it from a business point of view. As a pirate, what are you looking for? Just constant targets and making money. And if there are players out there hauling cargo who are just feeding you targets left, right, and center, why would you F with that? Unless the NPCs are just running empty cargo, which we know already that they're not going to be. They're going to be running legitimate cargo. If people are just sitting there and feeding you constant targeting information on all kinds of potential targets in the universe, then why mess that deal up? You know? Why? If you're running materials between moons or between planets and space stations or wherever, and all the NPC ships are getting knocked out, or a lot of them are getting knocked out, what does that do to prices? Well, that raises the prices, which raises your profit margin, means you're making more money as you're running that cargo from point A to point B. So why would you want to mess up that deal? I mean, think about it. At one point, you're probably saying, oh man, I got to make sure, you know, I try to make it friendly so all these mercenaries are here, you know, to clear out all these evil pirates. And now all of a sudden, look at it from the other point of view. These pirates could end up pushing your profit margins up and eliminating your competition as a player. So you might actually, if a mercenary comes by and says, hey, have you seen any pirates? You'd be like, no, I don't see any pirates around here ever. Maybe they're in, you know, maybe they're not in Stanton. Maybe they're in Terra. You should go to Terra. There's lots of pirates in Terra. I hear there's lots of pirates in Terra. Okay, bye. You know, because, you know, you want the pirates to be there because they're raising your profit margin and they're eliminating your competition. Even in the end, if you're a player's like, oh, I would never do that anyways because I am Johnny Space Justice, and Johnny Space Justice doesn't do such nefarious things, sir. Like, even if you're that player, when you think about that 90% clutter, that's a lot of places to hide your ship in. You know, you can get lost in all that clutter. I mean, even if you take your ship and make your ship just a little less visible, if you try and like stealth it out or something like that, or you're just a little bit more careful about how you take off from a site and move around and you make yourself less obvious, then chances are you're going to be the least likely to get picked off. So even in that situation, if you're smart about it, it could, I won't say completely eliminate the risk, but it will make it the smarter you are, the less risk you're going to face when you're trying to make your money running cargo. Anyways, something to think about. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.